let's think what happens once we click the link. So if we click on the URL or a hyperlink, these are the steps that will occur. Or if we simply take the URL and put it in the browser search bar or address bar and press enter, then these steps will happen. First thing that happens, the browser needs to determine what is the URL that we are trying to follow. So the browser will copy the URL from us, or we'll take it from the mouse input, whatever we clicked on. Next, what's going to happen? We have the name of the server. We have the DNS name. www Computer Science Virginia University Netherlands. Can we connect to that, or do we need something else? Look on the screen. What is the next step here? It cannot connect with the name, with the domain name, right? It needs the IP address to establish a TCP connection with the server. So it's going to contact DNS and obtain the IP address of this server. And once it gets a response from DNS and has the IP address, it can use that to establish TCP connection through the three-way handshake that we have seen with that server. Once the connection is established, the browser will use the HTTP protocol to send a request for the page. Now, the HTTP protocol has a bunch of methods, or also called verbs, which the client can use in order to request the page. See if I can find it. So this is the command which HTTP allows the client to use in order to request files from the web server. Usually the most common one is get. So it's going to be HTTP get welcome.html. Now, if there is something before welcome.html, such as directory 1 and directory 2 and directory 3, all of these directories are considered a part of the file name. So the whole path is the file name. So it's going to say get welcome.html. There are other things that it can request. For example, post. Not just getting stuff, but it's actually hosting information, such as password or something else that needs to be sent to the server. It can use put command. In this case, it's going to upload pages to the web server instead of downloading them from the web server. It can even delete stuff on the web server and try to trace the route from the client to the server. So there are other options other than just getting the page. So after the server receives the request from the client, if everything works fine, the server sends the page back to the client. So it's going to send welcome HTML with some code. The HTTP allows for the server specific codes that it will send back to the client. So these are three digit codes. We're gonna see it. I'm gonna show you an example of how they look like. So this is the formal website of the World Wide Web, w3.org. And so the protocols and all the specifications to make the World Wide Web work are defined here. So here we can see the codes that the server can send back to the client. They are 5 categories of codes. So we have 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. When they're 100, they are just informational messages. When they're 200, it means success. So if everything was fine and that page was actually there, the server will say 200, okay, here is your page. Now, can it happen that the server will not say everything is okay, here's your page? Did you ever get any errors when trying to browse to a web page? So the rest is all errors. So 300 level will be when it's redirecting. So it's gonna say, oh, you just requested this welcome HTML from me 5 seconds ago, and I already sent it to you, and now I'm not gonna send it again because I don't want to waste network bandwidth since you already have it. So just look it up from your cache. So that's a redirection. And then the 400 level will be a client code, a client error. So any messages that start with 400 that the server issues means that that request is not going to get served, it's not going to work because the client made a mistake. What kind of mistake can the client make? So welcome, and let's say typo. He didn't put in the E in there. So it's welcome without E. And the server will start looking on the hard drive. Oh, I don't have such a file. Sorry, the requested page does not exist. So it's gonna say 400 bad request. Or anything else?
Is it actual like page name or is it just a routes?
It's an actual file name. That's a file that exists on the server's hard drive.
Does it always work like that? Or?
Yes, it's always works like that. So it's any file. It doesn't have to be HTML. They can request here a JPEG file or a Word file or MP3 file or whatever he wants, whatever is on the web server's hard drive. The clients can request it. So any other mistakes the client can make? Look over here. Unauthorized, forbidden. Have you gotten these errors before? This is when the client doesn't have permissions to download this file. But he requires username and password and then it didn't enter them correctly. Or it's just not allowed. Now, there can be 500 codes, which are server level problems. So any type of 500 errors that come out will be not the client's fault, it will be the server's fault. For example, the server is dead. So the server just got denial of service attack and it's overloaded and it cannot handle the load, and it's just gonna say 503 service unavailable. I don't know if you've seen that before. Or it's gonna say 500 internal server error. I am dead. That's what happens when it has a deadlock, for example. So it's deadlocked. It has a bunch of internal threads that are waiting on each other, all of them stuck, and they cannot continue. And the server's there, but it's not going to serve the request. It will be internal server error. I'm not going to send you anything. Try again later. So all this is defined in the HTTP protocol. So the client and the server are following this protocol to communicate. If everything works fine, the server sends the page. Then the browser will get the HTML code and will read the markup language and display the page properly formatted on the screen, which means it will determine where the pictures are going to go, how big are they, is there any videos in there, is there any special colors or fonts or whatever, and it will display them properly on the screen. When it's all finished, we have to release the connection. So connection is released because what? Do you guys remember? Why do we have to release the connection? Because it's taking up resources. So it's taking up internal memory tables and space on the server. Here are example other protocols